So, ladies and gentlemen, we have two guys here. Um, Hopefully you see the top of one jersey, and that would speak for itself when he introduced himself. But they're two interesting gentlemen that I have the pleasure of meeting during my career. I would ask them to introduce themselves. Actually, it's the first. They seem to be trendsetters because it's the first of the interview that I'll be doing two people at the same time. So they're trendsetters. Maybe it's fitting that these two guys be the first. So first I'll ask the guy who I had the most contact with. Not easy, when he shows himself, but ask him to introduce himself to the public, and then we'll ask the other gentleman to introduce himself.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Earl Dixon. A lot of people know me as Goalie. Before I go any further, I would like to say thanks to Midget for giving us this platform to speak on behalf of our club still. My background is that I came to this country here 1973 as a 12-year-old, which would look very strange to see that I'm in this position right now still, but that's what it is still. My mother, 1965 still, put it on her shoulders to leave 3 young children in Jamaica to come here and fulfill our dreams to make life better for our children, which she did. And this is why I'm here right now still, to talk to you about that still. And I will forever appreciate whatever she did for us still.
Okay, now we'll ask the other gentleman, another interesting gentleman, to introduce himself to the public.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patrick Gordon. I came to this country in 1977 from Jamaica. I met Earl in high school. We hooked up, joined forces, and that's the reason why we're here to talk about what happened from there on.
All right. So, Earl, ladies and gentlemen, is known as Goalie. Knowing the gentleman over the period of time, I really was baffled, like how some people are baffled with my name Midget and my height. So maybe we'll ask Goalie, which is Earl Dixon, to tell us how that came by, and after he came here, how he got into the sport. Apparently these two gentlemen met somewhere, and we'll take it from there. So the floor is open to Mr. Dixon, better known as Goalie.
Okay, when I first came here in 1973, I lived in Rexdale for 3 years. Then I moved to Malton in 1976, and I started high school at Westwood High School. By that time still, I was an avid cricket player, and I started to learn to play basketball too. When I went to high school, I started to meet more West Indians, predominantly more Jamaicans still, because where I lived in Rexdale, my mother had lived in a predominantly white neighborhood still. Okay, and when we came to Malton, I kind of started seeing another light at the end of the tunnel, so because I started to see more Black people, and then going to high school, I started to get more involved with other people, and that's where I started to get involved more in the basketball, and I was still in the cricket because cricket was my passion in those times still. In 1977 still, I represent Ontario at the national championship in Victoria, BC, where we won a national championship, and I brought home the MVP as the best player in that tournament still. And the funny thing about that, I wasn't picked for the team. But 3 days before they were supposed to fly out, one player couldn't go. And my coach, who was the assistant coach of the team, called me and asked me if I wanted to go. And I did. And at the end of the day, I brought home all of the trophies then. You know, so at Westwood High School, we started playing soccer after school every day. There wasn't a day that we didn't play. Sunday to Saturday, every day. And then in 1977, I met Parick. We were all in the same school. You know, Parick was this guy that just came from Jamaica still, big afro, good looking still, you know, as usual, that's what the girls them like in those times still. You know, I was more of the more rowdy guy still, so, you know, and which I am probably still up to this day still. But anyway, still, to cut a long story short, that is how still I started out still when I came to Malton and started going to Westwood High School. And basically, that's when everything got started with me and Parick.
Okay, so Parick, this is your cue for how you guys met and what was your progression like. So obviously, this is a little different. We have people here who can talk about the schooling and meeting together in the schooling. So Parick, give me your side of the story here of meeting Mr. Dixon and what you were doing and how you evolved coming in from Jamaica.
So when I came up and I went to the school, went to Westwood. In those days in 1977, when he came up, you're looking for, there weren't very many Black people in the school. So the few that were there, we kind of connected right away. And Goldie was kind of one of the outstanding guys because he's basketball player at school, cricket player. He was an all-around athlete. So we kind of hooked up there. Asked me if I play soccer. I said yes. A little bit of background. I played in Jamaica. Like, coming up at 16, I didn't play very much and wasn't well organized or anything, but I did play. So we decided to start playing some soccer in the back of the school every evening. And then one thing lead to another where we keep getting more people out day after day till we ended up forming a soccer team. And then we moved on from there.
Who came up with the name Ebony? Did you guys represent the school in soccer? Who came up with the Ebony concept?
Well, it was not really an Ebony concept, quote unquote, so to say. We decided to name ourselves Blacktivity. That was the name of our team. We started playing in 1977. And by the following year, as a matter of fact, I think by the end of that year, we named ourselves Blacktivity, because we started just playing with our neighboring guys up in Rexdale, in Mississauga, local, all kinds of just playing. So we decided to give the team a name, Blacktivity. So that's how the name, then we evolved further down the line into Ebony. I can give you that later on as we go along, because it's the process, how we get to that point.
But if I remember correctly, this name Blacktivity, I've been hearing a lot of name people pass through this Blacktivity. team?
There's quite a few guys that's been through Blacktivity. Jimmy Lawson was one of the original guys. He probably came maybe about 2 years after we were formed. So yeah, Jimmy Lawson, Gary Bryant, Junior Wright, and Selwyn. All those guys were part of Blacktivity. And they left and went east.
Okay. So now, Blacktivity, so from Blacktivity, how is the Ebony evolution?
Okay, Midget, I'll take it from there.
Mm-hmm.
After Blacktivity, we started to realize that we had something going. So the club was getting more players, and we wanted to move on. So there was a club, there was a black club in Malton by the name of Black Development Association with a man by the name of Cliff Giles. I don't know if you've ever heard that name before still. Okay, we did some research and we wanted to go play TND. But to go play TND, we had to be like a club in certain form of ways. So we went to these guys here and we told them what we wanted to do. And they accepted us. And then we joined them still, meaning that we joined the club. We still had to pay like membership fee or whatever still, but they helped us get into the TND league, 1980, 1981. But our name was changed from Blacktivity to BDA, which is Black Development Association Cavaliers. And we played in the TND for 2 years. And those were the 2 years we played in TND still. And then Bunny Minot was one of the coaches that coaches us in that league. Everton Cummins, I don't know if you know of that name or you've ever heard of that name still. These were the guys, I mean, that were helping the team. But Bunny was our coach in that TND time, because at that time Bunny lived in Malton. So basically, from Blacktivity, we went to BDA Cavaliers. For 2 years we played in TND, and after that we moved on.
Moved on to?
We after TND, because okay, exactly what happened still. The club the BDA club that we were part of, that was that we thought was trying to help us, wasn't trying to help us still. They were just being a club who wanted members, paying annual fees, and doing all of this thing here still. So what we did after 1981, we decided we don't want to be no part of them anymore. So we stopped. 1982, we didn't play no soccer. We just scrimmage and play community teams, which were like Islington, Willow Ridge, Brampton, Mississauga, Jane and Finch, Driftwood, anywhere we could get games. And then, starting in 1983, I started to look for leagues that we can play into still. So in 1983, we got into a league which was called the Peel County Senior Soccer League. And we played there for a year. And they had a problem because one or two guys who were on the board in that league, they wanted to do something themselves, so to say. They overran the board in that league and started another league still. So from 1984, we stayed with that league, which became now the Mississauga City Senior Soccer League. Almost the same administration still, but a different name. And we played there until 1986 was our last year. And after that, it's history. We came to Flemington Park too.
Okay, Flemington Park, the big ring. Ebony, the challenge. How you guys knew about Flemington Park, and was it all systems go into the, was there a scouting system? Were you guys aware of the park, or after all these activities and all these of not being into your own groove that you decided this is the time we gotta do our thing?
Okay, my job within our club was to find leagues, find parks, find everything still. So reading the share, or reading whatever paper there was still, there was an advertisement still for teams to join the Toronto Caribbean League still, with contact for Roy still. And we called Roy, and that's how we started still. Major, I'll tell you the truth still. Our team, this is the first time we were venturing out of the West, coming to play any formal league outside of the West. Because our thing was just where we are still, where we were. We didn't venture into no other body's space. None of us never played for no other team. We just had our team in the West. And then when we saw that Roy put in some advertisement for teams to join the Caribbean League, we called Roy, we got a meeting, we came to the AGM or whatever it was, and everything was history from there.
Okay, so Patrick, maybe what was the sentiment between you guys and your assessment?
Well, when we went to Flemington Park, and even in the whole process, there's a third guy involved here in everything that we were doing. So even from the start, it was in 1977, it was Earl and I, and then Shanki.
Shanki, I know Shanki official name.
Yeah. His name is Paul Chung. Paul Chung, Shanki. He came in 1978 to join us on this venture. And from the moment he came, all three of us have never separated. So back to Flemington Park now. When we got to Flemington Park, we all had a not really specific job, but some guys were stronger in part. Shanki took care of all the finances, and I looked after, we kind of balanced all the jobs, right? So when we got there, we realized that we were outstanding, if you understand what I mean by outstanding. We weren't out of place. We basically were the toast of the town when we got there, like where we could take care of things, in the sense where we had good players, we were organized, we were more organized than a lot of the teams, I think. We tried to help the league in every way that we could from the start. We helped Roy in every way we could. You were there, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We brought a different vibes to the East End because we're coming from the West and we've never been out in that area playing ball, because we're, as goalies say, we always stick to the West. So when we got there, it was exciting, very exciting. And we held our own there, won the league. We won the league in, when did we win the league? In 89?
Yeah.
In 89, we won the league. We won 3 consecutive March passes, which is the march past is where, with the uniforms and, you know, the way you present yourself, presentation, we won that. I think we were quite an asset to the league, and the league was it was a very successful league at the time. We had big crowds, like huge, massive crowds. Even us coming from the West, we had fans coming from the West coming with us. Most days we were the first to get to the park, probably the last to leave most of the time. As I said, you can attest to a lot of these things.
Yeah.
The rest is history at Flemington Park.
Well, being the first to reach and the last to leave, I think we have to fill in the dots in between there. Why was that?
There was many activities apart from soccer. It was most like it's basically was a socializing spot where even after the games, because the camaraderie was so good in the park with all the players from different teams. A lot of times when the games were finished, we still stayed there and socialized. Many other things went on at the park where it was family oriented. There's food there. There's all kinds of different things there. So it was more of an event. So you leave when the event is finished.
Okay. Yeah, I remember your team even helping. I can even picture Earl now walking with the nets under his arm. You know, I would say Earl, and then the public would hear goalie. So Earl, maybe I would ask you now, where does goalie come from? Where does this alias name goalie come from?
Okay. A lot of people who know me would know that still, but as I said, being an all-rounder, as I've always been in every sport I played. 1977, I went to a game to play against Mississauga, which had guys like Woody and Lanky and all those guys still. Back in those days, there was 3 brothers of them that played on our team. And the guy that usually played goal for us didn't show up. So they were flipping heads and tails and to see who would go in the goal. I ended up being the one to go in the goal. And after that game, I had a permanent spot. So for more than 10 years, I was the main goalkeeper for Ebony from 1977. And then after that, up until this day, I was always the backup goalkeeper. If there was any shortage of anyone, the first person they would look at was me, you know, and that's why I got my name still. I was a goalkeeper. The first time I started playing soccer still in this country or still.
So yes, you was a goalkeeper, but winning the toss, yes, you're a goalkeeper, but now I understand that you're a good goalkeeper. So the goalie could come 2 ways. You know, in the Caribbean, you call her one goalie because, you know, over the years, he took about 10 goals. So it's all like a fatigue, you know, it's you know, it terrorizing his head. And then there's goalie in that, yeah, man, we want that man in the net. So it sounds like it's the latter.
My name goalie was because I was a goalkeeper and a good goalkeeper.
There you go. Now, one of the things I've discovered of late is that Ebony is still functioning, right? And I don't know what the objective of your club was, but did you guys plan on going this type of distance? Was Flemington, when you came to Flemington after that, all those exhausting maneuvers in different leagues, having to do practice games, after the Flemington, what made you guys stay together, and what was there a new vision, or just like we just got to play somewhere else?
Okay, I'm going to speak and then Patrick can follow up still on this still, okay? Mm-hmm. After Flemington Park, so, you know, we came back to Malton. By that time still, most of the guys had children, you know, we're doing a lot of things, and guys were starting to move away from Malton, mostly to Brampton, Mississauga, and things like that still. So we kept the team going for a couple of years without playing any league. And then that fire started burning again where we wanted to do something still. So we entered an older league. 1995 still, we entered an older league, the Alton Peel Senior Soccer League, which was an over 30 league. But this league was like a league that plays 10 o'clock every Sunday morning. Discipline, it was discipline and traveling, because we were playing games in Hamilton, Dundas. We were playing games all over the place still. But it was a senior league, and Midget, I'll tell you still, this league wasn't about trophies. Because at the end of the year, it was just one big trophy for the championship team.
And that's it.
And that's it.
So, okay. You said that was Sundays?
Yeah, every Sunday morning, 10 o'clock.
What an adjustment, because as we get older, some people like getting up early, but to deliberately plan on getting up early. So your Saturdays, that took away your Saturdays went short.
No, man.
At the end of your Saturday evening.
Guys were coming to the park in their party suit.
Okay, well, it had to be something like that, because I mean, 10 o'clock. I mean, Malvern League was like that, and the main idea that you guys stay inactive for 2 years. Were you aware of the Malvern League?
No, nothing against.
Oh, you had enough of the East End.
Nothing against. We weren't interested in leagues like those, honestly. Like I've never been to a Malvern League game.
Okay, how did the over 35, because now I understand you have a young team that's doing well. Is it in the OSL?
Yeah, I coached in Brampton still from 1994 until 1999, 2000. But all of that was my motion was motivated because I wanted to be part of my son in his soccer thing. Okay, so I was with my son might say, "But daddy this," but I was with him all through his minor career until 2002 when he stopped playing. Because last year we played for Dixie. He never got a full scholarship still, and he was a little bit disappointed because some of the kids that were going away, he was way better than them still. But you know how the system was in those days.
Yeah.
So he Googled and found a school in Maryland who would help him to come there, and you know, that's where he went from 2003 to 2005. But when my son came back every summer, the first summer, Roy, I think you know Roy Williams. He used to be an Antillean. He used to be part of an Antillean, tall guy.
Slim, tall guy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's Atiba Hutchison's uncle or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. He had a team for those guys who were coming back from school in those times too. But when my son was coming back, he was playing on his team. But what happened still, Roy never had enough guys. And I kept telling Roy, why are you going out there with 7 or 8 guys? And I can give you guys that I coached at under 19, under 18 to play. But this was one of those guys in those times. He was playing OSL under 21. He never wanted guys who were just local players still. He wanted the best guys them still, you know what I'm saying?
Wasn't that Brampton East?
Yeah, yeah, Brampton is. But the team that he had in the under 21, I think it was Antillians. He coached Brampton East still. He coached against Julian the Guzman and the Guzman brothers still and things like that. So I went with Peyton and I said, listen, man, I'm gonna start a junior team for ourselves. So 19, I think we started to build it from 1980, 2004, and we started playing 2005 still. Because as I said, okay, forget about Roy still. If Roy wants to win, he wanted to win under 21 so he can go play OSL South Region or whatever it was. And we started the team and we did it for a while. The first year we went undefeated or whatever. 2 years in a row we won and we went to OSL. We went to OSL 2007. We didn't do good. We came back down. We won again 2008.
That's under the Ebony Blana, right?
Yeah, yeah. We came back down to Peel Alton again. We won 2008 again. And we went back up to OSL 2009. And we strike gold. We won the provincial, not the provincial, we won the South region that we were playing in that year. And we got graduated up to the provincial in the OSL 2010. And the same here, which we didn't do too good in the provincial, because you know that was pretty good soccer up there still. And that same year though, still we lost in the semi-final in the Ontario Cup. And from 2005, I've had that junior team. Their name is Ebony Juniors. They're going and they're still going.
Oh, Ebony Juniors, because in talking to your coach Peyton in his interview, he keep mentioning the word juniors, and I keep saying, well, if you're playing at a certain level, why are you calling them juniors? But I now realize that's the name of the team.
That was a team name. That was a team name. Oh. And the funny thing about it now is still, Midget, I'm going to talk and then I'm sure Patrick might want to say something about this still. My son, Patrick's son, a few other guys' son, those were the guys who played on these teams here. And now in this time now, these are the guys we're handing over the baton to. They're taking over the Ebony Club right now. So
that means the club is in good hands in terms of progression.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
those guys still, most of those guys that's running, that we just gave them the baton this year. Most of them were born in 1984. So they were like 36, going on 37. And young guys, because at their age, they don't really want to play competitive no more that much, but they still want to keep a competitive, because we still got a spot in the OSL, in the provincial division. But because of the COVID last year, nothing played. So, but they want to hold that spot, bring in some more younger players, and they themselves want to join an over 35 competitive league somewhere. They want to play for Ontario Cup over 35.
But you guys seem like you're going the distance, and I need to know this unique relationship. Give me the gist of this unique relationship, Patrick.
Well, the relationship is about the love and the same interests. We have the love of the game, and we have mutual respect for each other, Shanki included. All the young guys that come through the club, they understand how we feel about the whole situation, where it's about respect and carry on, keep moving on, regardless of differences, about working together for the bigger cause. Because in the beginning, we all talked about when we started as teenagers. I was 16 years old. Goalie was 15 years old when we started. Shanki was a little older, right? So the relationship that we have is about mutual respect and the common goal. And it has gotten us this far, and now we're handing it over to the younger guys. It's not just goalie's son or my son, because most of the guys now that is taking care of the club, these guys have been with us for, we know their parents. We went to school with their parents. So it's a long relation. It's a family relationship. It's a straight family relationship. You understand? Mm-hmm. So that's where we have it right now. And it's in good hands. They will take care of it. And it's not like we're walking away and leave them on their own. You know what I mean? We're here for them in anything that they need. Because nothing beats experience. You ever hear about experience teaches wisdom? So that's where we are with this right now. So they have big plans. They're doing their thing. And I'm almost certain, well, I should say I am certain that they will take care of it. Because we started from scratch and we hand it to them. And they understand. Because goalie's son, when we were at Flemington Park, because his son is a little bit older than my son. My son is 30. Goalie's son used to come to Flemington Park in his uniform, kick the ball around. So all these kids, Orain, all of them, these guys have been amongst us from day one. So it's in good hands.
Okay, now that you hit back on the Flemington, which is nice that you're hitting that part of your roots too. Seeing that you traveled intercommunity Flemington, Earl just mentioned the fact that you didn't know about Malton, but that wasn't part of that wasn't your cup of tea. You went back now and you went through the OSL progression, did well, and all the stats that Earl just mentioned. Let me ask you to how you look, knowing the leagues and everything else, and seeing that you just come back to Flemington again. Where does Flemington fit in that whole big picture of all the leagues and everything you've been through to this point?
It's one of the best leagues that we have played in, competition-wise and fun-wise. And it was well organized. So league-wise, even though we play in the Peel Halton and all these other leagues, it was completely different. It was, I consider Flemington our own. And it was different. It was a whole Caribbean vibes where the camaraderie was really different compared to any other leagues that we have played in.
Do you think we need something, not necessarily Flemington? Are we lacking that right now? But yes. Do you think as Black people, we need an identity like that, like what Flemington offered?
Midget, let me say this. This is one of the reasons why we started our own from the start. Sometimes you have to have something for you. You have to have something for your own where you can generations down the line. So, of course, we need maybe not a Flemington, but we need something of our own where we can be comfortable. Our kids can be comfortable. They can be treated equally and enjoy it. So we do need something of our own. Regardless, it won't be a Flemington. Those days are gone. It's a different environment, different times, but we need something where you can call your own.
Gole, what do you think about something like that?
Okay, yeah, we know Midget, and I'll be straight up with you still on my answer still, okay? Something like that still need guys like me and Patrick. And I'm gonna give a little history before I go any further still. Me and Patrick has been doing this for 44 years this year. And the way it was still is that a lot of people wanted to be part of it still, but they weren't willing to put out the effort to make it work. So me and Parick and Shanki decided that if that's the way it's gonna be, then we'll just I'm not saying do it under a dictatorship still, but we just did it. We just took it on ourselves to do it. We used to keep at least 2 dances every year and a tournament every year. And all 3 of us would organize it, get it sorted out, sell tickets and whatever, and get it done. Because this wasn't a club still. Ebony is not a club that had major sponsors. That was our biggest downfall. And then you know how it goes when you say, okay, we're playing T&D and we need everybody to pay $200. You know what I'm saying? Still, and you know,
yeah,
pay $200 and because we need 2 registers and read up and a guy might give you a 20 or a 50 and say next week, and even when the season is over, still you haven't seen that still. Me and Parick still, and I'll give enough props to Parick. I give enough props to Shanki. A lot of money still out of our own family still, our own family life still went into.
Okay.
And Parick can tell you, sir, I'm going to let him elaborate on this after I say it to you still. When we first started this thing here, you know, we had big dreams, you know, of a club. Because we were young guys and there was a lot of girls around us and a lot of things. And we wanted to do things. We didn't just want to have a soccer team. We wanted to have a sports club. We wanted to have netball. We wanted to have all kind of things still. It wasn't still. But we came close to getting our own clubhouse one time. But everything fell through because finances was always the problem for our club still and all them things there still. And you know, we made the football happen, but other things we have to just make it bypass us. Parick, you want to elaborate on that still?
Yeah, you know, Midget, one of the reasons I think this worked because it was a collaborative effort amongst ourselves. If it didn't matter who was president or who did what, we had common goals. And we also had a lot of help from some of the guys. Once you're Ebony man, you're an Ebony man. Once you're in the club, you're part of the system. We're very inclusive in the sense where we've never turned anyone away, Midget. Mm-hmm. Whether you can play football or not, and you come amongst us, you're part of us. We put guys on the field in uniform with good players who are not real soccer players. We teach them, we work with them until they're part of the system. And we also had a lot of good soccer players that passed through the system. I can give you some names that passed through the system. Like Federer played with us. All these guys, the big football players in Toronto and all come through our system. Mike Harriet, Paul Burkett. I don't know if you know some of these guys. Like a lot of guys come and they play with us with Ebony because they like the vibes and they know what we're about. We're about nothing else, no politics. It's all about the football. So that's the reason it worked. Because when they come, regardless of what, they know when they come amongst us, it's all about the football. You leave the ego outside and you come amongst us, it's about football.
Contrast. I can't remember which one of you guys were telling me about the contrast.
Well, we beat Irie 1-0 to win the contrast league. When it comes to original, most of the guys that started with us, we're still in touch. A lot of them are still amongst us. Peyton is one of our original guys too. Like when we were starting out playing. But what happened is that over the years, Goalie, Shanki, and myself, we have never left. We're always there. So we have guys that even some of them are original. They come, they go away for 2-3 years. We don't see them 3-4 years. We were always there. We're always carrying the baton.
Parick, you have any closing words you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to say, Majid, I want to thank you very much. I think what we're doing here is important. We have this just to prove that sometimes you just go with your gut instinct, and for us to work together, you have to work as a unit. And we've faced many struggles along the way, but for us to be doing this from 1977 without any major sponsorship. At one point, we had 3 full team on the go. We had the Ebony Juniors going, and we had 2 teams one in the Peel-Halton Soccer Association, winning trophies after trophies on both ends. I think it's an accomplishment and something to be looked at and be appreciated. Like how I look at it, at the time when we're doing it, it's just the love of the game. But looking back at it now, it shows that hard work and dedication pays off in the long run. So I want to thank you for bringing this to light. You know what I mean? So thank you again.
Yeah, well,
I want to thank you again still, because whatever you're doing, it's all for the good for all of us still, okay? It's not just for you, it's not just for me, it's for everyone. And, you know, like, I hope that people watching these things realize still, you know, what it takes to make certain things happen still. Because, you know, the work that me and Patrick and Shanki put into this, I'm telling you, so we can talk for forever. There was a lot of sacrifice though. It's a good thing that our wives still stay with us too, you know what I'm saying? So, and you have to give them thanks too, you know what I mean? So, because one time it's come like we had loved soccer more than, or we love our woman and our people them still. But but you know, at our age now, still our thing to do now still is try to lead and motivate the younger ones that, you know, look at what we did still, and you have better times now where you can do much more. You know what I'm saying still? So to you, Midget, I've always respect you still. And I've always seen the respect from you to me, and I appreciate that. You know, thanks for everything that you're trying to do, and thanks for giving us the platform to speak something. So I hope anybody who watches this still will understand what we were saying. So, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you guys again for contributing to this conversation, and Patrick and Earl. Thanks again, Earl Goalie.
Yes.
Now I know what the goal is about, and thank